And this game went pretty much the way it should go. And was there something you talked about before the game that kind of changed things around?
No, the St. Louis game was a frustrating game. Like I said, I used the word sloppy probably 4 times. I thought that game was a fairly even game. Like, we break the game down in scoring chances, and it was an even game. Analytics attaches a value to it, so it actually increases the odds and some of the chances. But I like the way we played. We just didn't execute passes in plays. So I talked about it after the game with them. I said, we just got to be more prepared, more focused. We got to be sharper. And then, to their credit, like tonight, we've got the Islanders in a back-to-back, so we've been on the other side of this too. We just got in Vancouver. So we knew that if we played the puck deep, kept the possession game, that most teams will start to wear out a little bit. And I thought that's what we did. And they followed it, and we got rewarded with the goals. We hit, I think, 3 or 4 pipes. Give Islanders credit, the last 10 minutes, they stormed us. They got desperate legs, and we made some foolish decisions with the puck. But I thought the first, whatever you want to call it, 50 minutes of the game, we played the right way, and we got rewarded with the goals and the scoring chances.
Were you surprised to see the goalie pulled that early?
No, because he's done that before. I know he's done it in the defensive zone faceoffs before. So, I don't know, but I'm not going to get into that strategy. That's up to him. But we were fortunate we scored on it.
Where would you rank this one in terms of evenness, consistency of effort over, if not the full 60, say 50 and change, up until they kind of have to push at the end, I guess?
You're asking to rank it in terms of...
But in terms of the season, where would you put it? Maybe toward the top, up a little above average?
I couldn't even say, Andrew, because I go back, we've had a lot of games this year where we played really, really well.
Right.
Recently in Edmonton, not too many teams going to Edmonton and win 6-2. They get 2 power play goals, right? So that was a really defining win. I think the Winnipeg win back home here was a huge win in terms of playing a heavyweight team. Tonight, there's a different context to it because, we're desperate for points. Both teams are, because they're right in the race too. And we had come off 2 consecutive losses, and in order for us to get back into that conversation about being a potential playoff team, this was a huge game. So we turned the page, and we got to get ready for Washington.
McT, their big game tonight, one of many young guys at a big game, but just going back to early January, I think he's been your guys' leading scorer from that point forward. He seems to be more assertive. To me, really nice pass on Colangelo's goal. Just what have you seen from him as far as him picking up steam, picking up momentum as the season's progressed here?
Well, his confidence. I was looking down at the screen, it said some crazy stat of how many points he had his first 20 games. I couldn't believe how low it was and what he's had, whatever it's been. People, that watch the game probably don't remember, but they had a 2-on-1 right before he scored the goal, right? So, in the power play, so he's got a world-class shot, and I think that's showing up. And for Mac, it's about his skating, getting into those areas where he can actually deliver a shot. And I think really the foundation to his game is his ability to protect pucks on the wall. He's really good in traffic, so when he's doing those things, that's where the scoring is going to show up.
8 of the 9 point scorers tonight were 23 years older or younger.
Yeah.
As the coach of this team, what does that mean to you, and then just the state of the future of this franchise?
Yeah, so it's funny you bring that up because I was looking at during the national anthem the night we played St. Louis, and I looked down the bench and I saw Zellweger, Helson, Mintukov, and Jackson, and then you got Sammy, Cutter, Mac T, Leo. I might be forgetting, it was 9 guys. I was and they're all born 2000 and earlier, right? And we've talked about this, the rebuild, and I use the word mystery, right? You don't know how certain people are going to behave to some standards and how you're going to actually execute the process. And I don't know if there's a team in the league that has this many young kids playing this heavy of an ice load, particularly after when Brian went out and Minty's, obviously became more of a heavy minute guy, and then Zelly comes back, I thought was terrific again. But these opportunities for these young kids are tremendous. Our job as coaches is to put them in a position to succeed. Same thing it was a priority back in October. And Pat and I have talked about this repeatedly about you know, we've got to accept that some of these failures, we could lose games because we're playing these young kids, but they're going to learn in that environment, right? And I'm proud of the way they've played. I think, you know, whenever you have that youth, I mean, if you saw, it was kind of comical. McKinnon made a comment after that trade when they got Brock Nelson. He said, "You can't win in this league with young players." You know, well, there's a guy that's been through this. You know, I wasn't in Colorado in the early stages. Tim Army was with him when they were getting smoked his first 3 years. Right, they were getting killed. But this is what happens, and I get it. People get impatient, but you can't. There's no measurable. You know, no measurables for a young kid's developing. I mean, I wish there was, but there's not. And I do think when teams win, like we've been winning enough, that they can get a taste of it. So the carrot's right in front of them, so they keep going, they're excited. And that's why this whole experience being in the fringes of a playoff race is enormous for this franchise and for these young kids.
When you put Sammy with Mason and Cutter, could you have imagined they'd be this productive this quickly?
No, but there was signs of it, right? And like I said, I got to give credit to the guys in San Diego. Like, they've done a really good job with these young kids. I mean, Cutter obviously wasn't down there, but Hellison was down there. Zellweger was down there. Obviously, Sam was down there. Hockey was down there. Your minor league system is a really critical part of this rebuild, okay? And they weren't winning early, but now they're stringing a crazy streak together. They're like 12-1-1, you know? So Matt and his staff deserve a ton of credit. And the one thing about Sam that I really like, and Cutter, is they're coachable. Like, they listen intently. They may not be able to execute what you're asking them to do right away. It may take a couple practices or a couple weeks, but they focus on it and they try to get better. And this is, again, what people don't realize when you're in this grouping, like you said, where there's 8 or 9 guys that are 23 years old and younger. Like, we don't have the same time they do in the American League to go through practices. Like, we have very little practice time. And that holds true for the beginning of the year as well. Maybe not as tight as it is now, but when they have to learn on the go, which is in the game, it's a lot harder. But to their credit, like Sammy and Cutter, like, they listen and they try to apply what you teach them. And it's, you know, and our coaching staff does a really good job sitting down, because the only mechanism you have without practice is video. And I'm a big believer that's the best way to teach is 3-dimensional. You go on the ice and you show them and they feel it and they can just rip it out.
Trevor makes that play with the puck tonight, almost scores a highlight reel goal. It felt like he had his fingerprints all over this game. I know you've been really happy with the work that he's put in this season.
Yeah, he did. Trevor's been, I think he's been consistent with his commitment to playing physical game, you know, which you wouldn't think you would be saying that, you know, in September or October about him, but he's been physical and he's been hard on pucks. He's been skating, and I think you keep pushing that out of him, and he's going to get the points that everybody expects him to get.
I asked this about Gibson before, but to see Dostal managing the game from in the crease, covering pucks when you guys need to, what does that mean for the group to see his progression through this season?
He's been awesome. I mean, he's another one that he's a low maintenance guy. His compete level off the ice is as strong as it is on the ice. Preparation. I mean, I think we kind of hung him out a little bit at the end there, but he stood tall. And like I always say, the goalie's a game manager because he controls the game with his glove. He stops the play, directs the pucks into the corner so you can break out. And I think he's really evolved into a game manager. So we're lucky to have both him and John. They're both great goalies.
Colangelo said that he, a couple of weeks ago, would have just chipped that puck into the corner rather than going to the net on the play that he scored on.
Yeah.
Is that a matter of maturity, confidence, your belief in him, or how does that work?
Yeah, so that's a good point, because like when they come up, the game's going super fast. Like, people that don't play or aren't on the ice level, they don't realize how fast the game is, right? And when you go from the American League to here, it's way, way higher caliber hockey. And early, when guys come up, a lot of them get hurried and rushed and they just throw the puck away. I call them survival shifts. Then if they keep doing what we're asking them to do, which is, you know, the structure to the game slows down. So they start to feel a little bit more comfortable, and there's more space on the ice for them. And I think what he did tonight is a reflection of that development.
Washington coming in on Tuesday, obviously faced Ovechkin a ton, coaching in the East. You know, as far as facing him, what sticks out most in your mind as he closes in on this? Whether it's this year or next year, it seems almost like an eventuality that he's going to break the goal scoring record.
Yeah, first of all, he's a beast of a man. Okay, he's a big 230-pound power forward that's got, he's got a snarl to the way he plays, and he's got a high IQ as well. Like offensively, he's a very deliberate player, and obviously, you know, we had him in a playoff series in New York. I don't know how many years ago that, when he sat in the top of the circle and ripped one time in the power play, he still does it. But I think he's playing at a real high level, you know, and you know you've got to be aware of him. So he's a guy that you got to look out for. They have a really, really good balanced team. They're one of the biggest teams in the NHL, so we're certainly going to have our hands full.
Anything else?